Hey everybody, welcome to SMG Viewers Comments episode 131. We're coming up on NAMM. Looking forward to meeting a lot of you guys there. Let's get right to it.
Hey Glenn, what's your opinion about recording guitar and bass DIs, then taking them to someone who runs a studio? Then just recording drums with them in their studio rather than doing the whole process in their studio. Thanks.
I'm fine with that. I mean, like, studio owners, some might not be cool with that, but I've certainly got no problem with that. Everybody should be happy to get work of any kind. If a band just wants to come in and do drums, that's wonderful. Whether or not they can mix those drums after the fact remains to be seen, though. That's the real trick. By the way, if you want to grab some real drum tracks to practice on, follow a link in the description below. And I gave away some multi-tracks there a little while back off my Evertune demo, actually. And there's some acoustic drums you can get your hands on and kind of get a little bit of practice in and see what you can do with them. Meanwhile, yeah, there should be absolutely no problem bringing in something like that. I don't mind those sessions at all where I can just like re-amp the guitars, or if the guitars are recorded well, just use those. That's absolutely fine. I've got no problem doing just straight up drum tracking sessions. My absolute favorite ones, especially when it comes time around for mixing, is when the keyboard tracks show up on a USB stick and all I got to do is just drop them into the file. That is a huge plus. I love those sessions.
Now let's hear it in a full mix. Can't hear anything on both mixes. Guest bass really doesn't matter unless it's for a funk band.
I don't know, did you try listening on something other than a cell phone speaker?
Lol your face dough.
Gotta love comments like that. In fact, they inspired this shirt. Ad hominem, because you're not smart enough to refute the evidence provided. Grab yours today at the SpectreMedia.ca shop. The link, as always, is in the description below.
So I'll just take one of those API if you don't want them anymore.
I don't know if you guys ever watched In Living Color back in the day, you know, the TV show that launched the Wayans brothers and Jim Carrey of all people. But, you know, Damon Wayans had this character called Homie the Clown, and he'd, you know, bop people over the head with a loaded sock when they'd say something, you know, monumentally stupid like that. Here's the thing. Yes, you know what? The APIs might not be as good as the Behringers for recording guitar. Check the video if you need a reference there. But they're still awesome on drums, and guess what? I record live drums, genius!
Do people on this comment section really find this good? Give me a Pod HD or whatever. You guys love to hate, and I can easily make something way better in 5 minutes.
You know, I called them out on that. It's been a couple weeks. I'm still waiting. We're all waiting. Blow our minds.
Hey Glenn, what are your thoughts on a studio subwoofer for mixing metal? Common sense tells me that I need one, but online knowledge says no. I have LSR 308s right now, and I was looking at the 310S.
Well, I have no idea what LSR 308s are. I'm not sure what brand they are, but okay, I'll take your word for it. Myself, personally, I don't use a subwoofer because I've got soffit mounts and this whole room is designed to hear the low end. For more information on that, I always recommend checking out the John Sayers recording studio design forum, and you can check out what a reflection-free zone control room is all about. But for you guys who don't have that, yeah, a subwoofer can work. I went and visited James Murphy this summer, who's done a lot of amazing records, and he was a huge inspiration to me. You know, and he's mixing on a pair of Genelecs, and he's got this huge freaking subwoofer in this tiny little room, and you know what? He gets amazing results. So, you know, I won't say no right off the bat. Your mileage may vary, but I'm definitely not going to say no. It might be exactly the thing you need. You're never going to know till you try it out. Just make sure to hang on to your receipt because you can always take it back.
Nothing against Bon Jovi, but I feel that Judas Priest was robbed of this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Just sharing my thoughts on the subject. Cheers from the Philippines, Glenn.
I would agree to a certain point. Now, you know, before GetCon, I would have been raging about this, but the fact that, you know, I got to hang out with Phil X, who plays guitar in Bon Jovi these days, and is just an awesome dude and somebody who I've got tremendous respect for. So I'm going to have to be diplomatic for once in my life. Judas Priest is my absolute favorite band, and I would love to see them inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They certainly deserve it. You know, the fact that Bon Jovi got voted in, okay, great. Well, process of elimination. I think it took Black Sabbath or Ozzy like several attempts to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So as they said on the back of that 1984 album, keep the faith. It'll happen.
Did you do something different on the snare this time?
Oh, going back to that Clayman Tone video. Seriously, check it out if you haven't. There's some great tips on recording guitar there. But to answer your question, yes, I did. I did it on the distressor. I used the live analog distressor compressor on the way in on that snare, and that's why it sounds so absolutely wicked. That is one of the best snare sounds I've ever got. I've also done an analog versus digital compressor thing video where I compared the two a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into that in the next few weeks. Stay tuned for that. It's definitely going to be worth checking out.
What do you think of the ART preamps for vocals in a home project? Am I better to use plugins instead? Also, could it be used for electric guitars and bass?
Well, a preamp isn't an effect. I don't know what kind of music you're recording. If you're recording like death metal vocals, yeah, an ART preamp's going to be amazing. It's probably going to give you a little bit of saturation, which is what you're looking for. Again, we're not doing Celine Dion here. We don't need super high-end esoteric preamps to get something decent. What was the other question? Could it be used for electric guitars and bass? Yes, of course it can. Here's something I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I've been to a number of, top-level studios in Hollywood, and they all have the ART Pro VLA2 compressor in their racks. It's about $300 and it's absolutely awesome. It is probably one of the absolute best bang for the buck boxes out there. And yes, you can expect a Fearless Gear review on that coming out very, very soon.
Opinion on Tool? One of the few bands where the bass player isn't a useless cunt.
I completely agree. What's my opinion on Tool? I think they should put another record out. That might be a good idea. The great thing about Tool is not only are they great musicians, they're great songwriters, and that's the thing. The wonderful thing about a Tool album is, you can get in depth and really, hear the emotion there. I think they're one of the last truly great rock/heavy bands. They're not quite metal, but there's some intense songwriting there. The performances are intense, and yeah, let's have some more of that, please.
Hey Glenn, what's a major difference between a bass and guitar amp? Great fan man from Nepal.
Awesome! I love getting messages from you guys in all different parts of the world. The fact that, Nepal and that whole neck of the woods. I know there's a lot of guys from India who watch the show. I just want to shout out to the fan base in Iran, Iraq, and Jordan. You guys are awesome. Keep strong. Keep doing what you do. Anyway, to answer your question, a bass guitar amp is basically a clean amp. The original Trainer YB1As from the 1960s were designed as bass amps, 40-watt tube bass heads. They're just a very clean amp. Turns out they're awesome as guitar amps as well. A guitar amp will probably have a preamp section, but then again, you take a look at a modern bass amp, like the Dark Glass here, and it's got a preamp section as well. This is like 900 watts, but it's designed to push the low frequencies, and that's why it's so powerful. But a guitar amp is designed for mid-range frequencies. That's basically the difference, but you can use either or. I know Caius had amazing results running the guitars through bass amps. So while there are categories, it's not all so cut and dry. Play what you can. Play what you can afford.
Hey Glenn, what is an IR and how do you use it?
An IR is an impulse response. It is basically a digital sample of a guitar cabinet. That way you can take, a tube amp and plug it directly into your computer via an interface like a 2Notes torpedo captor, and then you can run a digital cabinet simulation. So you have a piece of software which will load that impulse response and play your guitar amp signal through. Or you can use a piece of software amp sim as well. There's plenty of them out there. I'm going to have an episode on that in the very near future. And that's a great thing about impulses, is there's millions of them out there, and you can try all kinds of different combinations and, get a pretty interesting sound, and especially when you start blending them, you're not going to be quite so stuck sounding like everyone else. So that's kind of awesome.
Is your studio grounded? I ask because I see you have a fair amount of outboard and wonder how you deal with ground noise. I know that studios that have a lot of analog gear, mainly those with consoles, have all of their equipment and a lot of wall plugs grounded in a certain way.
Yes, of course my studio is grounded. I mean, it's a fire hazard if you're not grounded. My studio is double grounded, actually. All the outlets in my studio are using these orange outlets, which have an isolated ground pin. So you use Robex cable with an extra wire, and that gets you a home run back to your electrical panel. And my dad is an electrician. He's the one who told me, hey, you should really wire up your studio like this. The other thing we did to keep noise away was keep the power away from the mic line. So one side of the studio has all the power, and the other side has all the audio snake cable going through it. So that's also a big plus. So think about that if you're building a studio. Once again, I refer you to the John Sayre Studio Design Forum. They're going to have a crap ton of information on that. I highly recommend anybody checks that out who's into home recording.
Hey Glenn, have you ever considered becoming a recording engineer teacher? Cheers from Quebec.
Yes, I have. In fact, I'm going to be doing a couple courses over the next month or two at the Ontario Institute of Audio Recording Technology in London, Ontario. You guys saw us do that huge YouTube meetup there last month. I don't know when that track's coming out. It's going to be the next week or two, I imagine. I could be wrong. It could be out by now. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a couple courses there. I'm going to be doing a drum clinic there. I'm going to be doing a guitar clinic there. But I see you're from Quebec. I mean, like, if you guys want to see me do a couple courses at the schools up there, you know, ask your staff to get in touch with me. I'd love to do it. Honestly, yeah, I'd really like to do a few courses all over the place, to be honest with you. I'd love to go to Europe and do a couple. So yes, if you're fans and you'd like to see me do it, ask your staff. And if you're in school and you want to see me do it, have them get in touch with me. That would be awesome. Anyway, thanks so much for asking. I always love doing those. They're a total blast, and it's so cool to meet all you guys. Thanks again. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Once again, I'm going to be at NAMM, so if you see me on the floor and you want to say hi, please do. That's what I'm there for. I'm there to meet you guys. I'm really looking forward to this year. Hope to see you there. Make sure to check out the Chicken Picks booth. I'll be doing appearances at the Joyo booth and the RME booth as well. I'm going to keep you guys posted. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and I'll keep you updated on all of that. Once again, you can grab the Ad Hominem shirt in the SpectreMedia.ca shop. That goes a long way to supporting the show, and just it's a great way to piss off people who love calling you names. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm out of here.